In 1997, Andrew co-founded award-winning studio 0.10 in LA. As design principal, he brings a critical perspective to the firm's work, pursuing what he calls an into the marginalities approach. The firm works across multiple disciplines, scales and topologies, and recently received the AAA LA Presidential Building Team Award for its collaboration on the Los Angeles Police Administrative Building. Andrew has taught architectural design and urban theory since 2000 and is adjunct associate professor at the University of Southern California School of Architecture, where he has been a director of the Asia Architecture and Urbanism program since 2009. Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome. Good evening. Before I call the awardees, I just want to say a few words about this particular category. It's again, as you can see, it's been an amazing collection of work that we had to review. For this particular category, it was no different. It was very challenging. We had a lot of great projects to choose from. But before I get into the projects themselves, I just want to say a few words. We as architects, I think we all know to a great extent the challenges of design, right? It's all very personal to start with, and we all have our own very, very unique approaches and visions and insights. So to that end, what brought you all here today is the fact that you've all somehow chosen to use one particular kind of material and put that material through some kind of unique tectonic and creative process. And that really stood out for all of us as jurors to review those projects. But of course, we could all agree as well that that process itself is at the very end of the creative process, right? Typically speaking, for most of us, maturity goes through many lives through the process of a project. And we may have preconceptions to start with, but we may not end where we were start with. So I think that's pretty unique. That's what brought you here. But the three projects that I'm going to present presents a challenge that's on the other end of the spectrum of design, and that is the beginning of design, which is that we have to deal with this uniqueness of the site, right? And the challenges of the site and the context. And I think to actually use a reference that the architect Otto Rossi talks about, which is that a building actually lives two lives, right? It has a unique site life of the users and the immediacy of the site, and also has the life, the context, the broader, right, scope of where the building actually influences. So in the sense of the city, the urban, or in the sense of nature, the field. So I think what's really unique for these three awards is that it presented three very different site conditions. So just to kind of give you insight before we're going to the pictures, we have three projects that are uniquely contextualized in a very different situation. One is in an extremely tight, restricted, compact urban site. Another one that is actually in a relatively free but natural but incredibly historic and iconic site. And then the third is, I would say, a kind of siteless site, in the sense that, you could kind of actually, when you see it, you may say, maybe it is extremely sited to start with. So we have three very different site conditions that gives life to these three incredible buildings. So I'm going to get into it. The first one is really in an employment and training office. And I know I'm not going to pronounce this properly. You know, us Americans don't have the ability to really get the toner quality right, but it's Lacombe and Florinier. And what we found incredible with this project, of course, is that it's a site that is extremely urban, dense, historic. It's actually in the city center, but it's also extremely restricted. It's an infill site. And the architects have taken incredible challenges to actually create a kind of porosity to the site, to actually allow natural light to penetrate deep into the site, and you can see the kind of interstitial spaces that are created, and in that sense, create an incredible publicness as to how, the people, in terms of users and also the public, would engage with this particular building. The materiality speaks for itself. I think it's just incredible in the sense the different porosity of the material. You got the solid surface. You also have the incredible kind of screen-like facade that faces a street to allow the inside-outside relationship. So I think the jurors were incredibly taken with the challenges on both the front end and the back end of the entire design process. So if I could just actually ask the architects to speak briefly about the challenges that you faced in dealing with the site, and of course your reason for selecting the material, that is zinc.
C'est une parcelle. C'est une parcelle donc sur une rue principale de Rodez qui est très étroite sur la rue et très très longue, avec des immeubles mitoyens qui sont très hauts. Ouais. Et donc ce bâtiment abrite plusieurs organismes donc liés à l'emploi et à la formation, notamment pour l'emploi et beaucoup d'autres organismes. Ils sont 9 au total. Donc tous ayant il y a un centre de ressources partagées au rez-de-chaussée et ensuite des accueils particuliers pour chaque organisme donc dans tout l'immeuble. Et le but était justement, dans cette parcelle très étroite, de profiter, de créer des volumes de façon à avoir de la lumière naturelle pour tout le monde, pour tous les bureaux, et des séquences au niveau du déplacement, ce qui nous paraît très important, c'est-à-dire le fait d'aller quelque part est aussi important que le fait d'y arriver et d'y être. Donc des séquences avec des perspectives toujours en rapport avec la vision lointaine de l'autre côté vers les montagnes et vers la rue.
The building was separated in different functions, and the reason why those boxes exist that they try to show the different function in a very long strip in between a crowded street and another one, and they have tried to create, I would say, light or to have light and entering those boxes and create, I would say, those segment in between those buildings. I would appreciate you say a few words. Vous puissiez parler un peu de la texture aussi que vous avez utilisée pour la matière.
Mais le but étant de mettre en valeur justement toute cette fragmentation, les volumes, les patios sur lesquels donnent donc l'ensemble des locaux, des bureaux, c'était d'avoir une seule peau. Et on a pris le profil sinus justement parce qu'il a une modénature très fine. Le fait d'être ondulé lui permet de se tenir sur une grande longueur sans onduler, ce qui fait qu'on voit d'abord le volume avant de voir le matériau. Alors pourquoi on a choisi le zinc, quand même, parce que le pigmento rouge, pour justement sa présence, qui n'est pas une couleur, mais qui a une profondeur, et pour sa durabilité. Mais le but était justement d'envelopper le bâtiment, de lire les volumes avant de lire un matériau.